Jurors heard testimony from a key prosecution witness in Sean Diddy Combs' federal trial in New York City Tuesday. His ex-girlfriend and singer Cassie Min0rs spoke about her 10-year relationship with Combs and the psychological, physical, and abuse she says she endured. Min0rs first leveled accusations against Combs in a 2023 lawsuit, which was settled a day later. Dozens of men and women have filed suits against him since 2020.
We hold our breath as the hushed courtroom shudders under the weight of Cassie's trembling confession, the fluorescent lights capturing every flicker of fear in her eyes while we lean closer, desperate not to miss a syllable. She doesn't shout, she almost whispers, but the words ricochet like thunder. Precise coordinates, a latitude and longitude, she swears lead to a dungeon carved beneath one of Sean Diddy Combs' opulent mansions. A chill slithers down our spines because for years we shrugged off rumors about hidden doorways and soundproof chambers. Now they're stamped onto the official record, immortalized in stenographer ink. We see the stenographer's fingers freeze for a split second, as if even she can't believe the geography of a nightmare might have just been mapped.
Just last week, federal agents raided 2 homes of rapper and music mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs in Los Angeles and Miami. Combs is the subject of a federal investigation.
Outside, reporters stampede across courthouse marble, howling into live feeds, their voices cracking under the weight of a story that feels more gothic thriller than celebrity proceeding. We picture the swarming vans, the dish antenna forest, the flicker of studio lights as anchors gulp and race to keep pace with each new gasp. Because Cassie's testimony isn't a gossip item, it's a detonator. Every whispered anecdote about underground tunnels, about hush-hush gatherings where rules evaporated, about a world beneath the music mogul's world, suddenly those rumors sprout fangs. We can almost smell the adrenal panic from Diddy's legal team as they scramble page through decades of non-disclosure parchment and throw practice smiles that no longer land. In that instant, the judge's gavel might as well be a thunderclap. The gallery inhales, the air tight as plastic wrap, while somewhere far away, helicopters chop the sky above Diddy's real estate empire. We imagine searchlights slicing across manicured lawns, technicians in tactical gear calibrating ground-penetrating radar, every shovel of suspicion aimed at the earth itself. Because Cassie didn't just claim she suffered, she pinpointed where unimaginable things might still be happening. And we, perched on the precipice of revelation, feel the gravity of secrets older than some of Diddy's platinum plaques. As cameras flash, we watch Cassie steady herself, her voice small yet seismic. She says she escaped through that same tunnel once, barefoot, dizzy from substances forced on her at what insiders call freak nights. She says she heard faint cries echoing from deeper passages, but fear stampeded her forward. We feel her pulse in our own throats while the defense lawyers object, their words brittle, because negating coordinates feels harder than negating pain. The judge overrules, the bailiff coughs, and the courtroom floor suddenly seems to tilt. Maybe because the cultural ground beneath Diddy's legacy has cracked wide open.
Drika, how would you describe Cassie's demeanor when she took the stand today?
When she walked in there, Rachel, she had on a brown dress, form-fitting, visibly pregnant, head held high, and did not make any eye contact.
We drift back through the years, replaying late-night talk show appearances where Diddy bragged about his architectural whims. Remember that smirk when he joked about locks on the doors being essential for a real party? We laughed then, now we shiver. We recall whispers from house staffers who mentioned a tunnel to nowhere. Was it a punchline or a confession? Did interior decorators giggle about secret staircases while delivery drivers unloaded luxury furniture, never knowing what might lurk just below? The more we dig, the darker the soil. We learn about a 2016 blueprint filed under an LLC with no legitimate business description, showing subterranean corridors thick enough to drive a golf cart. We hear a rumor, never proved but impossible to ignore, that the corridor forks toward another celebrity estate, possibly connecting to land once owned by Hugh Hefner. Our minds race. If walls could talk, would they sing top 40 hooks or scream?
As you all know, I made a request today for what we were calling a gag order, and I'm not going to walk out of court and do anything other than
slide into the silence of that tunnel, conjuring the cold concrete, the faint hum of ventilation fans, the metallic clang of a gate closing behind someone who entered as a guest and left as a phantom. Online sleuths overlay satellite images and discover odd, sunken skylights half hidden by shrubs. Drone pilots claim they noticed heat signatures lingering after everyone in the mansion supposedly went to bed. Are we looking at a private escape hatch for a billionaire? Or the backbone of something far more sinister? Then the first shockwave breaks. An anonymous source inside federal ranks whispers that the FBI once followed a tip, tracked a delivery of reinforced doors to Diddy's address, and briefly breached a basement room. According to this source, they found latex gloves, discarded name tags, and containers of baby oil lined up like artillery. The source confesses that nothing illegal was proven that night, but the items were oddly ominous. We swallow hard, imagining the scent of scented oil mingling with the metallic chill of unfinished cement.
Yeah, that's trying a criminal case in the modern times. A lot of evidence is on electronic devices, cell phone, tablets, computers, things of that nature. And the devices, especially if you have like external hard drives, 90-something terabytes of data on a single device makes me think it's some type of hard drive. That takes weeks to go through just for one device on it.
And just as our terror begins to plateau, Cassie's story deepens. She claims she's expecting a child, yes, a baby, though she won't say how far along. We sense the courtroom tilt again, because if her pregnancy is real, it's a living mosaic of fear and hope. Some speculate she revealed the coordinates precisely because she feels a ticking clock inside her. Protect the unborn, expose the dungeon. Those two instincts fuse into one unstoppable beam of courage. We hold our breath as Cassie locks eyes with Diddy across the room. His jaw tightens, his fists knot in that designer suit he once wore like armor. We glance outside and witness a media wildfire. Social feeds explode. Hashtags multiply. Memes of cartoon tunnels swallow entire timelines. Everyone who ever attended a Diddy bash is forced to publish disclaimers. Meanwhile, thread surfaces linking party guest lists to manifest records for private flights to remote Caribbean airstrips. We envision alt-tabloid bloggers charting red string maps across bedroom walls, hunting for patterns in the swirl of A-list names.
A window into Cassie's side of the story. There's a video that people may have seen. It was aired by CNN years ago. It's become a video at the heart of this case. That's security footage from the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016, where there appears to be Sean Combs assaulting Cassie Ventura. You see him.
Suddenly, the echoes reach back even deeper. The infamous Playboy Mansion grotto. We recall endless stories of high-profile visitors vanishing into cave-like hallways for after-hours escapades. Some now allege those corridors were prototypes for Diddy's lair. Former Playmate managers confess the grotto had emergency exits unknown to everyday staff. If a secret league of architects specialized in building pleasure dungeons for the ultra-rich, how many other pop palaces hide labyrinths? We wonder whether we have only seen the mouth of an underground hydra. And then the pizza box code erupts. 3 words that sound absurd until we realize the FBI locks onto phrases more mundane than that. We visualize agents poring over text logs where Diddy allegedly says, "Get rid of the leftover pizza boxes." It looks innocent. Until we learn that, within the niche slang of illicit trafficking circles, pizza can mean minors. We shudder. We hate even to form the thought. But we also remember other scandals where something as ordinary as a lunch order became a breadcrumb trail leading to horrors.
Responsibility.
Well, you
got
to do your due diligence, and his team should have did the due diligence. And a lot of times, people do slip through the cracks. There's things that you don't see and don't find out until later on. But I mean, when people are making claims like the way people are making claims, you have to do your due diligence to make sure that if you're having that person on your platform, which is a huge platform, that you're putting out the proper and correct news.
Online detectives freeze-frame paparazzi clips from the day federal agents raided Diddy's LA mansion. They note trash workers being waved away, housekeepers hustling cartons of flattened boxes into fireplaces. One lens captures a butler lobbing cardboard into a courtyard incinerator while glancing over his shoulder. We don't have proof, but our instincts throb. When wealthy titans hurry that hard to burn recyclable corrugate, we ask ourselves what truths might be scrawled in pizza grease. Meanwhile, Diddy's counsel lashes back, calling the Mann Act counts racist relics, and hollering that no white person has ever been the target of a remotely similar prosecution. We hear them thunder that Diddy has been singled out because he is a powerful black man. Part of us acknowledges the long, ugly history of selective justice. Yet another part of us wonders whether these attorneys fear that the tunnels, not the courtroom, will deliver the final verdict. Because if haunted corridors exist, they won't care about selective enforcement. They'll simply disgorge evidence.
And again, just to reiterate what is a freak-off, the freak-off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism, wanting to watch her have sex with someone else. And she said that she did it because she was 22, 21, she was young, she didn't know any better, and that she wanted to please Sean Combs.
We can't forget the testimony of Jane, the former lover who described 3-day marathons of orchestrated intimacy, each session culminating in what she dubbed hotel nights. She told jurors Diddy would sneer, "You're taking that D," and instruct paid companions not to use protection. We cringe hearing her recount how she just tuned out to endure it. We recall her sobbing when the prosecutor asked why she didn't just walk away, and she wailed, "I don't know." We know trauma scrambles logic, pins people where predators want them. Her anguish clings to us like smoke. Another witness, Brianna Bongalan, testified that Diddy hoisted her over a 17th floor balcony while growling, "He was the devil." We imagine the Los Angeles night whipping her hair across her face as city lights blurred beneath her dangling feet. That threat alone could freeze a soul forever. But she survived and she spoke, and we cling to her words because they fracture the myth that everyone who partied in those circles was lavishly consenting. Some were terrified hostages drowning in illusions. As the trial grinds through day 22, we see Diddy's once iron confidence rust. Sketch artists capture him scribbling notes so furiously, we wonder if he's not writing strategy but journaling sins he never thought would surface. We hear him whisper to co-counsel, "All I'm going to need you to do is get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes." We catch that line, toss it into the rumor mill, and listen to the clang as speculation spins faster.
What I thought was also interesting is she said that after that first freak off, she said she felt dirty. She didn't want to do it. And when she brought up the idea of having a conversation about the freak offs in an email, which the jurors saw, she said she backpedaled in the email because Combs responded by saying, "I know, you don't want to do it." And she said, "Oh no, well, it's not that." But that was the beginning. That was in
While the prosecution stacks graphic text messages and grainy hotel recordings, the defense calls the case consensual misbehavior. Yet, whispers slip through courthouse hallways, hush money payoffs, threats of financial exile for any music exec who dares cross Combs. We recall the $100,000 in cash that allegedly bought security footage of Cassie's bruise. That brown paper bag, stuffed with crisp bills, smelling of desperation, might be the single most cinematic prop in modern scandal lore. We slide away from the courtroom and back into the tunnels because they remain the gravitational core of this saga. A leaked blueprint surfaces, unverified yet too tempting to ignore, showing a platform elevator descending from a mirrored closet to a corridor labeled pool service. At the corridor's end sits a door, marked maintenance only. The rumor claims it's a misdirection. Beyond that door lies a quarter-mile march under the main lawn, ending in a chamber with padded walls. Was this the final stop for minors smuggled from after-parties, or was it simply a panic room for a billionaire fearing kidnappers? We weigh each theory, but every path leads to the same queasy sensation. Something monstrous might have thrived down there.
But she was only on the stand for about 30 minutes, and the big takeaway is this story that she tells regarding the email she got from her daughter in December of 2011. This is where Cassie Ventura writes her mother and another person explaining or expressing that Sean Puffy Combs, she said, threatened to put out explicit videos of her. Again, this is around the holiday time, and also saying that he would do something to the person that she was.
We glance at the wider horizon and notice Hollywood's power players shrinking from cameras. Agents delete decades of Insta memories featuring Diddy's yacht. Fashion brands quietly adjust marketing campaigns to crop him out. It feels like the industry has smelled smoke and is tiptoeing toward exits. But we wonder if they can outrun a blaze that may torch entire reputations. Because if even a fraction of these tunnels link multiple estates, then this scandal might yank new faces into its undertow. And then comes the bombshell press conference. Attorney Tony Busby stands before microphones, claiming to represent over 120 claimants. He promises videos, pictures, text receipts, some allegedly involving minors as young as 9. He teases names that will shock you. We gulp as he describes how enablers are being sliced away from anonymity, like wallpaper stripped from rotting drywall. Our imaginations ricocheted red carpet regulars, reality show icons, the oh-so-charitable philanthropists who might soon face subpoenas. While Busby speaks, reporters glance at their phones. Social feeds pulse with another drip. Word emerges that Diddy filed a $100 million lawsuit against NBC over a documentary outlining clandestine tunnels and missing minors. Diddy calls the film outrageous lies, but we catch the note of panic under the bravado, because he's always fought paparazzi with bravado. Yet this time, the ground beneath his brand is seismically shifting.
It's pretty interesting because I think, we have seen many photos, videos of Sean Combs, aka Diddy, through the Associated Press, through Instagram. And so to see him kind of in person after being in jail for 3 weeks now was pretty interesting, to say the least. And I say that by being that you would expect him to feel a little defeated, a little gaunt, anything like that. But it wasn't that case. He appeared confident.
We watch as federal marshals transfer Diddy to the special housing unit in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. He has requested a $50 million bond, denied. Cellmates whisper nickname legends. But we visualize him lying awake, staring at concrete that looks eerily like his rumored tunnel walls. We picture the claustrophobia of solitary, each hour grinding like a shovel scraping bedrock. Does he recall the eerie chill of the passages he allegedly created? Does he now fear what evidence archaeologists of justice might unearth? Yet our intrigue refuses to settle. We recall the real estate listing for one of his Beverly Hills compounds posted weeks before the raid. 12 bedrooms, 15 baths, an infinity pool featuring an underwater walkway. Realtors raved about it as a whimsical amenity, but we wonder if that walkway was merely one bright section of a much darker artery. When a rapper sells a property in haste, we read between the Zillow lines, and still the pizza box code haunts us. Internet warriors dissect every slice delivered to Diddy's properties over 12 months. A mapping nerd overlays addresses of top-taste pizzeria deliveries and finds suspicious overlap with after-party nights. We shudder, resisting the urge to label coincidence as evidence, yet acknowledging that conspiracies sometimes nest inside banal cardboard.
Look, I'm not going to talk about anything that I haven't said in court or in the papers. These are all great questions, but I'm just not going to get into it. So
can you speak about your concerns about the leak and the video? You have spoken about that before.
I did it in the court papers, and I'm just going to stick to the court papers. As you guys all know, let me just finish. As you all know, I made a request today for what we were calling a gag order, and I'm not going to walk out of court and do anything other than live up.
Even former allies now chirp half-clues. A retired producer tweets that Diddy once celebrated closing a contract by announcing, "The tunnels will save us if the press ever gets too nosy." The tweet vanishes within minutes, replaced by a carefully worded apology. We screenshot it anyway, because screenshots keep secrets on life support. In the background looms the ghost of Jack Johnson, the boxer prosecuted under the same Mann Act Diddy's lawyers call racist. We respect history's bitter ironies, but we also recognize that Diddy's prosecutor, Damian Williams, is the first Black person to lead that office. Racism, selective or systemic, is too tangled to unpack in a gossip-charged YouTube script. But we can't ignore the defense's smokescreen while the prosecution excavates concrete floors. We flash back to surveillance video of Diddy lunging at Cassie in that hotel corridor. The punch, the kick, the object thrown. He later released a contrition clip. "My behavior was inexcusable." We replay those words and realize regret alone won't neutralize the echoes creeping up those tunnels, because corridors store sounds, they amplify them. And every whisper we've chronicled is now roaring.
Reason why is because they gathered so much evidence, supposedly they gathered so many videos and laptops and also electronic.
Then, as if the universe wants to metastasize chaos, a leak surfaces from a Miami forensics lab. Technicians allegedly found microfibers of clothing consistent with youth sizes on items seized from Diddy's chartered planes. They haven't matched DNA, but they flagged the evidence. We swallow a scream laced with dread because we fear where that thread might lead. But truth has a spine of its own. We imagine a clandestine war room inside the Department of Homeland Security, where agents tape satellite photos to corkboards and draw arrows linking mansions. They track fuel logs for private jets, cross-reference them with Instagram timestamps. They analyze property tax filings, searching for suspicious write-offs labeled structural repairs that could actually fund subterranean expansions. We envision them plotting warrants, planning timed raids on other celebrity hideouts.
Talking about her experience in that video, how she had a big movie premiere that was coming up, and what had happened was they were engaged in a freak-off that she didn't really want to be a part of, and Combs had punched her. She knew she had a black eye. She felt she had to get out of there, so she waited for a moment when he was occupied. She said he may have been on the phone, in the shower.
And through it all, Cassie's coordinates glow on the map like radioactive embers. We realize those numbers may one day be as infamous as Watergate's phone number. Because if excavations commence and cameras document hidden cells, every corporate sponsor still clutching Diddy's perfume line will vanish overnight. Record labels will purge discographies. Streaming giants will yank decades of hits. We will stand in the rubble of an empire built on beats and allegedly on fear. Yet we must peel back one more layer, the possibility that Diddy wasn't operating alone. A network, perhaps? We watch old interviews showing him arm in arm with moguls who built gated estates inside canyons, far from prying drones. We rewind acceptance speeches, thanking the family and the circle. We recognize coded language for alliances. If Cassie cracked the first domino, we brace for others to topple. The fashion tycoon rumored to host masquerade galas in Venice. The streaming executive whose desert villa allegedly includes an air-conditioned bunker. Every hour brings new plot twists. A beverage sponsor suspends its partnership. An RB legend preemptively deletes all selfies with Diddy, captioning "Time to protect my peace." Music critics debate whether removing his verse from remastered classics constitutes revisionism or moral duty. Meanwhile, conspiracy forums explode with charts linking tunnel rumors to ancient catacombs beneath Vatican City, because once you open a subterranean door, who knows where the branches end?
It is a big part of the case in reference to this notion that she was forced into it. And remember, the criminal enterprise and the racketeering, according to that indictment, is about him using force and threats and arson and all of these things they said for his desires. So that's why I think a lot of what we're hearing are these details.
We return one last time to Cassie, who, in the eye of this hurricane, has vanished into seclusion. Paparazzi haven't glimpsed her in weeks. Some claim she fled overseas. Others believe the FBI placed her in witness security. We picture her cradling a quiet bump, if the pregnancy rumor is true, promising the tiny heartbeat that she fought monsters so the child would never know the chill of secret corridors. Her silence now feels louder than any press statement, because survivors often speak volumes by disappearing. And so we hover at the brink, breathless. The excavation crews might already be drilling beneath manicured lawns while we binge live streams of courthouse doorways. The truth could detonate tonight or drag on for years. All we know is that we've never witnessed a modern celebrity empire wobble so violently on its foundations. The music once sealed Diddy's throne, now the bass line sounds like a countdown. We close our eyes and picture that underground corridor, echoing, slick with condensation, fluorescent bulbs flickering overhead. And we wonder who else has walked it, and whether the walls will ever testify. Because tunnels have no lawyers, they simply release whatever evidence time hasn't yet devoured.
Most importantly and most notably, when he walked inside the courtroom, the first thing that he looked at was his family. As soon as he saw his family, he just lit up. Another thing to note, too, is he wasn't shackled, but he was wearing a khaki prison-like jumpsuit when he appeared inside court, and his family appeared on their end very just happy.
The gavel will strike soon enough, but even a guilty verdict might pale beside the discovery still waiting in the dirt. We brace ourselves for circuitry of hidden cameras, for diaries etched onto seized servers, for voice memos whispered by frightened souls who thought no one would ever listen. This saga isn't merely about one superstar. It's about power unchecked, about corridors without exit signs, about what happens when fame swallows conscience whole. And here we are, trembling on the threshold of revelation, asking the question that won't let us sleep. When those coordinates are finally dug up, will the tunnel walls echo with vindication? Or will they open a gateway to an even darker labyrinth, implicating names we haven't dared to imagine? Buckle up, share your theories below, and keep your flashlight batteries fresh, because the shadows are moving. Until the next pulse-pounding update, stay curious, stay fearless, and goodbye for now.